Mount Sinai, though not the tallest mountain, is one of the world's most famous. Mount Sinai holds immense significance in major world religions such as Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. The mountain draws thousands of tourists every year. Many visitors undertake a nighttime climb to reach the summit in time for sunrise, a tradition that offers breathtaking views of the surrounding landscape. The mountain also captures the attention of skeptics and scientists alike, seeking the truth about Mount Sinai's history. These skeptics and scientists have made some astounding discoveries. In this video, we will delve into the new and shocking revelations that have come out about Mount Sinai. In the Bible and in Hebrew scripture, Mount Sinai is where the 10 Commandments were given to Moses by God. In fact, there is a cave at the modern-day Mount Sinai's peak called Moses' Cave, where this event is said to have occurred. In the Quran, the holy text of Islam, Mount Sinai is where the prophet Musa spoke to God. Musa is a translation of Moses. The Christian Bible, the Jewish Torah, and the Islamic Quran all include Moses as a significant figure. The 10 Commandments are a set of ethical and moral principles presented in the Bible, specifically in the books of Exodus and Deuteronomy. They are fundamental guidelines for ethical behavior and are considered sacred in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The commandments are, "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol or any likeness of what is in heaven above. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. You shall not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor." These commandments are seen as a moral and ethical foundation, guiding believers in their relationships with God and others. They play a significant role in shaping the moral framework of Judeo-Christian and Islamic traditions. There is, definitively, an actual mountain called Mount Sinai, located in the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. It is 7,497 feet tall and surrounded by a mountain range. There is a mosque at Mount Sinai's summit, as well as a Greek Orthodox chapel. Just north of the mountain is St. Catherine's Monastery, which dates back to the 6th century. None of this is a matter of debate. What is hotly debated is whether the Mount Sinai we know today is truly the same Mount Sinai described in the Holy Bible and other religious texts. Some biblical scholars, including Charles Beck in the 1800s, have even proposed that the real Mount Sinai might have been a volcano. Religious scholars have done extensive research into the history of the Bible and other religious texts. For example, biblical archaeologists conduct research by excavating sites associated with events or figures mentioned in the Bible. Their work involves analyzing artifacts, studying historical context, reconstructing cultures, and conducting topographical surveys to identify ancient settlements. Epigraphic studies help decipher inscriptions, while comparative analysis with neighboring regions provides insights into cultural exchanges. Researchers also employ modern technologies for enhanced data analysis and engage in public outreach to share their findings. The goal is to deepen our understanding of the historical and cultural context of biblical narratives. Many scholars believe that the Mount Sinai referenced in the Bible was actually located elsewhere, though there is no consensus on the exact location. According to the Doubting Thomas Research Foundation, which investigates the history of the Bible, the mountain now known as Jabal Maqla is the true Mount Sinai. According to the president of the foundation, Ryan Mauro, one of the main reasons certain scholars claim that the Exodus is a myth is because little to no evidence for what the Bible records has been found at the traditional Mount Sinai in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. However, says Mauro, what if these scholars have actually been looking in the wrong spot? Move over into the Arabian Peninsula and you find incredibly compelling evidence matching the biblical account. Another biblical researcher, the archaeologist Ron Wyatt, believes that the true Mount Sinai is the mountain Jebel el-Lawz. Wyatt claims to have found chariot parts from the biblical era on the shores of the Gulf of Aqaba, where he believes they drifted from Jebel el-Lawz. Wyatt also believes that, based on his careful study of biblical texts, Jebel el-Lawz matches the biblical description of Mount Sinai more closely than any other location. Wyatt claims to have found mentions that the mountain where Moses led the Israelite people was located in Midian. Additionally, the place where Moses spoke to God in the burning bush was described as being in the backside of the desert. Using this information and the discovery of the alleged chariot parts in the Gulf of Aqaba, he searched for a mountain on the eastern side of the Gulf that matched the details he had discovered. In his view, there was only one possible match: Jebel el-Lawz. However, Ron Wyatt's research is controversial because his claims, such as discovering the Ark of the Covenant and the true locations of biblical sites, lack widespread acceptance among scholars. His findings haven't undergone thorough peer review, and mainstream archaeologists question the validity of his evidence and methods. Legal issues, religious bias, inconsistencies in methodology, and a lack of independent verification contribute to the skepticism surrounding Wyatt's research. While intriguing to some, the broader academic and scientific communities remain skeptical of his unconventional theories. Mount Sinai aside, the historical authenticity of the Exodus itself remains a subject of contention. The Exodus story recounts how the Israelites, led by Moses, escaped slavery in Egypt. After enduring plagues, they fled, and with divine intervention crossed the Red Sea. Moses received the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai, marking a covenant with God. The journey symbolizes freedom and the establishment of a new identity for the Israelites. Some people believe that the Exodus is a symbolic story, and not literally true. Others believe that the Exodus is a matter of historical fact. According to Baruch Halpern of Pennsylvania State University, the actual evidence concerning the Exodus resembles the evidence for the unicorn. Halpern's statement reflects the beliefs of many skeptics who believe that the historical and archaeological record proves that the Exodus story did not happen as described in the Bible. In contrast, Richard Elliott Friedman of the University of Georgia argues that there is no archaeological evidence against the historicity of an Exodus, and that archaeologists' claims that the Exodus never happened are not based on evidence. It is also a matter of debate whether or not the biblical figure of Moses, also known as the prophet Musa in the Quran, was an actual historical figure. Moses is known for his pivotal role in leading the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. Born during a time when male infants were ordered to be killed, he miraculously survived and was raised in the Egyptian royal court. Later in life, he encountered a burning bush through which God called him to lead the Israelites to freedom. Moses is credited with numerous miracles, including the parting of the Red Sea to facilitate the Israelites' escape. Some argue that Moses was entirely mythical. Some argue that he was a real specific man in history. And some argue that the description of Moses' life in the Bible is a mixture of fact and fiction. For many reasons, it's tough to assess whether the Bible is an accurate historical record. It was written centuries ago in a different language, and different translations of the Bible imply different things. Over time, some information may have gotten lost or been mistranslated. Because biblical times were so long ago, few records survive from that era, so there isn't much to check the biblical account against. Some parts of the Bible may also have been intended as metaphor, and scholars constantly debate what should be taken literally versus understood as a figure of speech. Similar problems plague other religious texts, like the Jewish Torah and the Islamic Quran. This is why it's so difficult to figure out whether the Mount Sinai described in the Bible is the same Mount Sinai we know today. In conclusion, Mount Sinai's mystique continues to captivate both believers and researchers, prompting ongoing investigation into the events associated with it. The debates surrounding Mount Sinai exemplify the complex intersection of faith, history, and scientific inquiry. Do you think the biblical Mount Sinai is the same mountain called Mount Sinai today? Do you consider the Bible a literal historical document or a metaphorical story? Did Exodus really happen? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.